Chair.
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like the opportunity to respond to some of the questions raised by the member who's resumed his seat and others. This is, when I first became the Minister of Police at the end of 2008, one of the issues of real risk or areas of risk for the police was actually the vetting service. And the reason for that is that it was so far behind in dealing with the massive requests for and demand for vetting requests that had been made and checks on them. And what we found is that people were waiting months in many cases for vetting. We looked at the fact it was taking so much of police time and looked at what we could do about it. Some years later, we now have this bill going through the committee, the whole stage of the House. Let's have a look at some of the comments that have been made and concerns raised by Mr Hipkins. He's very concerned about the cost of vetting. Well, all indications that I have is that the police vetting fee will be $7 or around $7. I think teachers are actually paid sufficient amounts of money to pay for $7 for vetting. Why should this happen? Well, actually because the requests for vetting have gone up hugely over the last 10 years. We now have police having to deal with more than 500,000 requests a year. That is a staggering number of requests for vetting. And who are asking for these vetting services? Are they all schools? Are they all teachers? Are they all early childhood centres? No, they're not. Sometimes, in many cases, with the million New Zealanders living overseas, many of them are overseas employers who are asking for this. People in many cases who are in positions of responsibility and who are well paid. I think around $7 is a very reasonable fee. That's the main area that we're talking about here. Yes, there is an opportunity for other areas to be brought in where they are demanded by people and are not actually core police business, but that is not something which can be brought in by the police themselves. It has to go through an order in council process and regulation, and actually governments are not keen to do those sorts of things if they believe that the public would not agree with it. Let's have a look at what police actually do for this vetting service. Well, for a start, they might release information about a conviction history, location of the court where the matter was heard, the date of the offence itself and the sentence imposed. So they may also release any further information that may not strictly be part of those areas, but which are important for someone who is seeking to have themselves vetted. There are occasions when police hold relevant information that they will be unwilling or unable to release. In these instances, a withheld detailed statement is provided to the agency. All of this work, Mr Chair, takes a lot of care, a lot of attention, and if police get it wrong, who gets blamed? Who gets blamed? Actually, it's the police. The police get blamed if they get it wrong. Can they afford just to let anybody do this? And the answer is no, actually. They need to have people on this work who know what they're doing, who understand how important it is. And actually vetting at around $7 each, I've got to say, is not that much. If you are in fact applying for a job as a teacher or even in early childhood centres. Not that much, frankly, for the amount of time, the amount of responsibility, the amount of care that goes into it. I'd much rather that police were able to charge a very reasonable fee, particularly compared to any other jurisdiction. As far as I'm aware, we're the only comparable jurisdiction that doesn't charge any vetting fee. To charge something for that, to get some recompense towards being able to resource that area properly and not to see it simply as a cost on police and on their budget. And some people might not think vetting is important, but I think vetting is important, and the fact that the vetting requests are now well over 500,000 a year tells me that this is a big area for police and one where they do need to have some extra help with. It's also important for people just to be aware it does cost money.
Mr. Chair.